All right, we're live. Let's be clear. Once we got the news, there were some rumblings. I was starting to get text messages around 5 o'clock Eastern time. There was a text or a tweet about it's Riba time. And once we got the official word at 5:30 Eastern that UConn lost Terrace Reed to an ankle, we all knew there would definitely be a dip. And, we talked about, at least internally with some of my staff, and then also, kind of on X that, this team has to shoot well. They have to, limit the offensive rebounding, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that people thought they'd get out rebounded by almost 20. Getting beat 42-24 in the, points in the paint, that's not a dip. That's pretty incredible. And that's with Eric Riba having an incredible game. I have a special guest from the Arizona fan base that's going to talk about this game with us as well. We're going to bring him in right after we get into our intro because, we can't do a live show without the intro song. Let's go.
Let's get it. 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 Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
Here he is. Let me get you unmuted. Subby, listen, man, first off, I appreciate you jumping on. It's early for you, man. There's no late games out west, but I will ask you this. Like when you first heard that Terrace Reed was out, what was your initial thought?
Yeah, so I'll let you know right now. I live in Chicago. I went to school.
Oh, okay. So Central Time.
Yeah,
all right.
It's still perfectly fine. But when Terrace Reed went out, my eyes kind of like, those cartoon characters where their eyes just get really, really big. I thought Arizona was going to have the rebounding advantage coming into this game just because Tobe Awaka, that's what he does. Like he was ripping jerseys against Florida, and he's forged through SEC fires as well. Tobe Awaka doesn't have a ton of skill, but he's going to rebound the basketball, especially offensively. But when Terrace Reed went out, I was like, okay, this is a little bit of an advantage now that I'm hoping Tommy Lloyd can exploit. I did not think it was going to be to the tune of a 20 rebound delta. Is that correct?
I think it was plus 20 and points in the paint was plus 18. And it wasn't that bad at halftime. It was only plus 4 at half, and it was a 2-point game. And going into half, I was like, okay, they, UConn didn't play great, and they have this deficiency down low. Because listen, Terrace Reed isn't Willis Reed, but he's he leads them in points, rebounds, and block shots. It's pretty fucking good. So, he's also 6'11", 270. It's an incredibly difficult loss to kind of try to finish that kind of production in the aggregate, right? I don't think you can find 20, 12, and 2, from and they almost did with Eric Riba. He had a pretty good game, his first big game as a freshman. So it's just the physicality. He got pushed around early, and then I took umbrage with a fellow Big East guy that was talking about how, at that moment I was just like, I don't know if we're watching the same game because I felt like Eric acquitted himself pretty nicely. If it's me, you, I don't know how big you are. We've never met in person, but if I'm the only one fighting and it's you and 2 of your friends, and I'm probably gonna get the shit kicked out of me for a good amount of time. But if I can kind of, stay standing, I maybe can kind of get a couple shots in and figure out how to stay alive. Right. Yeah. That was essentially what it was. Cause you had Dwayne Caroma come in, spell him a little bit, but he's undermanned, undersized. He's not a power forward. He's a 3-man. So without Terrace, there just wasn't a lot of resistance.
Totally. And I think that's fair for UConn fans to point to. And not only is Arizona big, right? They got a guy like Mo Krivas, who's a 7-footer, but also Koa Pete's built like he's got redwood tree legs, man. Like he's built like a monster truck, and he's 17, 18 years old, whatever it is. Look, I'll tell you what, he may have gotten away with a foul. I think he was like running down the paint, and he corralled an offensive rebound and put back. I think it was in the first half, but whether it was a foul or not, it wasn't called a foul. I'm just saying it could have been called, but he completely cleared out whomever. I think it was Jalen.
Jalen Ross or Jalen Sort.
I think it was Jalen. It might have been Jaden Ross. Regardless, so like that's a freshman just clearing you out, and so the physicality was missed certainly from Terrace Reed, and I think also potentially just some fouls that could have been eaten up by Terrace Reed. You mentioned Caravan, who I think is one of the. I mean, again, this is coming from an opposing fan base, one of the greatest winners in college basketball since I've been watching the game. But I think he got into some foul trouble a bit. He picked up his third in the second half, but he missed a little bit of time. And so you obviously hope you can get all hands on deck, but that's going through the back of his mind, I'm sure, if he's trying to get down and dirty down low. So Terrace Reed was a big missing piece. But again, I don't know if that necessarily would have covered up the paint discrepancy in terms of point production and also the rebounds.
I will push back on that because I think Terrace is kind of like he's a space eater. You know, Eric is taller than him. He's 7'1", almost 7'2". But Terrace is like, you know, it's like when Koa Pete is 22 years old, that's what he'll look like. Terrace Reed is a 4-year version or a 3-year version of Koa Pete. Because I mean, Koa Pete's a man. Like he's 18 years old and he's pushing people around. I think and I'm not saying this is an excuse. This is just the reality. In my opinion, if Terrace is there, I think we win that game. Just if you think about where it was at the end, you're up 2. I think maybe up 1. I think they got Koa missed one of 2, so they trade a basket. So now UConn's up 1, and then what's his name? Bradley does a fadeaway. He literally bricks a shot off the backboard. It ricochets off of Jay Stu, and then it goes to Krivas, and he dunks it. And from there, it was just bad possession after bad possession. I don't think if Terrace is in the game at all in this game, I don't know if that happens. You know, even if it's everything's equal, you know, he gets that rebound. Look, there was a game last year against a much lesser opponent, a Providence team, but had a similar kind of makeup. A couple of big guys down low. I mean, Terrace at 26 points, 18 rebounds, 3 blocks. Like the he's a freak. And that's why they brought him in here. And without him, UConn's a good team, but they needed extra things. They needed to shoot the 3 well. They did not. They needed to marginally disrupt Koa Pete. They did. He didn't. I don't think he dominated the game. He was good. He wasn't like otherworldly like he was against Florida. So they did some of the things that I thought they were going to do, but I actually thought they were going to lose the game. I was shocked that the line only dropped from 7.5 to 4.5. When they lost Terrace, I was like, it's a pick'em game. I mean, either way.
So entering this, I did a preview, and I didn't know this was before it was noted that Terrace Reed was out. I was like, I think UConn wins this game by 4. Look, I'll tell you what. I went through a range of emotions. All right, so like I thought UConn was going to win this game by 4, and then I see the line. I was at 7.5, and I was like, well, hang on a minute. That seems a little disrespectful. Like Arizona, what they do is they may not win every single game. And this wasn't the case in the early years of Tommy Lloyd. So Arizona in the first 2 years with Tommy Lloyd would either beat the snot out of you, or in their losses, you could tell in the first half they weren't coming back, they weren't fighting back. Last year and this year, right? They started 4-5 last year, and they ended up going to the Sweet 16. But they battled in every single game. They battled and came back. And so I was like, I don't think they're an 8-point loss worse than UConn. So that was a little concerning. But then the Terrace Reed stuff comes out, and I wasn't expecting it to be, like I still expected UConn to win, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I thought in this matchup, Storrs is a different beast, man. And Arizona's going across the country to an elite environment against an elite head coach, against a team with pedigree, right? A couple of champions on the roster. I was like, look, this just may not be the spot for Arizona. But it was a hell of a ball game, I have to say. Like that's all to say. Like I went through a wide range of emotions there, and even when they were up 13, I have to give a ton of credit to UConn, because not once did I think this one was over. And it's like there's a handful of teams that, no matter where, against a great team, like Arizona's a great team, no matter if you're down 13 with 13 minutes to go, it's like, come on, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's get back into this. I'm sure they don't want to find themselves in that position against quality opponents moving forward very often, but it was always going to end up being a game.
No, I agree with you. And it's one of those things where the reason why when Terrace went out, I thought that they would have a hard time winning the game is just the way they run their offense. Like, I did a show earlier in the week about how before Terrace was hurt, that this team was playing essentially like bulletproof basketball. And what Dan likes to talk about is that there's an opportunity essentially for the team can play well against you. But if you have all of the answers, there's nothing that they can do. And without Terrace, the major hole was exposed. Offensive rebounding, the inability to score in the paint. With Terrace, they're complete. And then on top of that, the guy's hat that I'm wearing that I've made, these aren't for sale yet. We'll talk about that another time. Braylon Mullins, their 5-star freshman, has been hurt all year. We haven't seen him yet. So I think, and again, but forget about Braylon. He hasn't even played, so we don't even know. Braylon could be the greatest player in the world. We don't really necessarily know. What we know is Terrace is really good. And so without the ability to dump it down to him, because this is a perfect example in this game. Solo ball, did not shoot the ball well. Alex Caravan took 5 shots, had 9 points, did not play well. This game would have been a Terrace Reed game where essentially they ran the offense through him. And then, Jay Stu played well. There were other guys who stepped up. Obviously, Ryba did it out of necessity. Jay Ross hit a 3. Arizona is better than BYU without a doubt. But I think if Terrace is in this game, it changes so much about the ability of Koa Pete to dominate down low. Krivas to get those tap backs. I mean, he's got Karoma on him, who's 6'7", and he's, giving him the, turning on him. And it's just, I didn't feel bad because I felt like he played him pretty well, but it just did not end well for UConn. And to your point, they did make a run. But there's just, I think sometimes when you make those runs and you run out of gas, those loose possessions at the end, the other team has a chance to kind of catch their breath. They go on their own little 5-0 run, and now all of a sudden they're up 4 or 5, and then the game is over. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I want to see that game again. Like I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I hope that's an Elite 8 or a Final 4 game, because I think that's fantastic. I really enjoyed the level of physicality, the ability of both teams to kind of get whatever they wanted at certain times of the game, and the runs. I like Tommy Lloyd. Tell me how you feel about Tommy Lloyd, because I think he's been a little maligned. Like he's a guy who has always been a great recruiter, but his chops as a coach have always been kind of questioned. What are your thoughts?
It's tough for me to voice how I truly feel about Tommy Lloyd, because look, there's not many better coaches in November, December, January, February. I don't know about March, though. Actually, I do. There's a lot of better coaches, but like Tommy Lloyd beat Duke in Cameron 2 years ago. Yeah, this is what he does in non-con. Like he's pretty Teflon in these environments, and he's shown he can win these games. But then you flip to March, man, and you got losses to Princeton on your belt. You got a loss to Clemson in LA, which that's a home game in the NCAA tournament. That's as good of a home game as you're going to get, and you lose to Clemson. It's inexcusable. People want to get on him for losing to Houston. I think it was his first year when he had Benedict Mathurin and Dalen Terry. I don't want to use that against him, and I'm not going to use last year against Duke against him either. Although you could argue, hey, man, you started 4-5. That's exactly what's going to happen in a Sweet 16 matchup. You're going to get arguably the best team in the country at that juncture. At some point, you got to really beat teams. But so I've never really questioned his ability to go in and win in big time environments. It's doing it in March. And I think it's a totally fair question. When maligned has this connotation of maybe sometimes it's unfair, I think it's totally fair, man. Arizona has not been to a Final Four since like Mr. Deeds hit the big screen. Mark,
that's true.
Look up. Go ahead.
Also, no. And this, you know why I had a good time tonight, Subby, is because I don't have any hate to Arizona. Like I don't know any UConn fans that were like, oh, fuck Arizona, fuck that team. Like I just don't know any people. And if you are, then cool. Like you're a hardcore UConn fan and you're just, fuck whoever's in front of them. But for me, it's kind of like when I was growing up, and I'm going to show my age, I'm 44 years old. And so that Arizona team with Miles Simon and Mike Bibby that won the national championship, everybody in my high school was rooting for Arizona that tournament. Once they got to the Final Four, we were like, who are you rooting for? Oh, Arizona. Like it with I can't think of the coach's name. It's losing,
Lute Olson.
God, thank you, Lute Olson. This is why you're here. Mike Bibby, Miles Simon, Richard Jefferson, Gilbert Arenas. Like I just don't. I have no hatred towards this team, and so it was kind of like a weird feeling. Sometimes you watch like when they play Kansas. Fuck Kansas. Okay, like all right, like I'll say that right now. If we look down the line, fuck Florida. Like we can go on and on about these non-conference games. Arizona, I was like, it's a good one to go to. Like I was thinking about going up for it because I actually live in North Carolina, and so I was just like, damn. I was like, that would have been such a cool game to go to. But yeah, man, like I like Tommy Lloyd. I like what he's done. I totally understand what you're talking about. Outside looking in, he's got to win bigger games.
Yeah,
but he's gonna get the opportunity this year, man. They're gonna have a really good resume. Sam Vecini of where is he? He's at
The Athletic.
The Athletic. Is he at the Athletic? Yeah, he is. Game Theory podcast. Put a tweet out. Let's see what your thoughts are on this. I didn't screenshot it and put it up,
So I will say, Mark, real quick, while you bring that up, what I'll say is I don't have any hate towards UConn either, but I think what's driving that is because we haven't gotten to a Final Four, and like we're pretty harmless. And on the flip side,
that's
like
fair.
the opposite end of the spectrum, UConn on the other hand is like, what are you going to say? Like you just if you hate him, you just hate him, which is fine. I got no like blind hatred is okay in sports, but. Sure. And look, what I'm taking away from this is like maybe Tommy Lloyd owns the Hurley brothers. That's about it.
Maybe
like head to head. I know he owns Bobby, but like, I mean, look, UConn is a premier program, and so truly, I don't hate them. Even they referenced it on this broadcast. The what was it? The Elite Eight game, of course. Jamel Horn missing that three in the corner.
Yes.
But then you say like again, you're like, okay, well, we lost to Kemba Walker. Who didn't lose to Kemba Walker? Man, that guy was on an absolute. It's one of the greatest runs ever. So the feeling is mutual. I would though. Let me tell you this. I would like to get to a Kansas or Florida hatred because that means you've won a title recently, and that's what I want.
Yeah. Well, no, it's really not about that because I feel like most Arizona fans are pretty cool. Like you seem cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think Kansas fans are douchebags. I think Florida fans don't actually watch basketball. They're just like, oh, we play basketball today. Like it's just they're football fans. Like my wife is an SEC. She's a Tennessee gal. So like you know what I mean? Like if when Tennessee's good in basketball, she's like cool, but she doesn't care because she wants to watch football. Like, and that's how Florida fans are. I know they won the national championship last year. Good for them. But like, it's really rare to find like diehard Florida Gator basketball fans. Arizona's football has been good. That hasn't been great. So like, I know that you guys are basketball junkies. Kansas are basketball junkies, but they're just kind of weird. Yeah. And especially with all their like fake championships and shit like that from like 1920. Get out of here, dude. The Helms title. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. Not only have you guys got the titles, but they're all so recent. Like I can easily tell my son when he's older enough, like what I was doing during those titles. And I'm 35 years old. But yeah, to your point about Arizona football, like I get a little bit insecure. Like Tommy Lloyd the other day said, I want you guys showing out to, support Brett Brennan. I'm like, I'm watching you, man. I don't care. Although we're going to a bowl, which is cool.
Yeah, and like and conversely, I think because UConn football has kind of like risen from the dead, there's a lot more interest than there has been in the past. But that's a similar, I think that's a similar thought process to most diehard UConn basketball fans.
There's a pecking order, right, Mark?
There's some football hardos, and don't get me wrong, I like watching UConn football to a certain extent, but nothing supplants the basketball program. That's my guy Steve. Totally agree with him. Was great to see them go head to head. But this tweet is actually really, I mean, this is pro UConn, but it's also giving Arizona a lot of credit. They're a great team. Definitely Final Four team, obviously. But I agree with this. I think the fact that they're without two starters, it made me think about, and that's kind of why I'm not, the sky is falling in Storrs, Connecticut, is that there's so much more basketball to be played. And this is a quality, I hate to say this, quality loss. I know Dan will spin it in his own way. I'll watch the post game later. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't have a ton other than the fact that I felt like that stretch where Arizona got up 11, UConn kind of got soft. Like they kind of just I mean, I hate to say it, but they kind of played like pansies for about a 5-minute stretch. And then it was almost like they were like, okay, we can't go out like this at our home court. And that kind of brought that game back to the level of where it was for most of the first half.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. And if I address Sam's tweet first, I
Please.
agree. I totally agree, right? Like, so first of all, I don't make very many sweeping generalizations here in November, December, even January, Mark. Like, if hopefully we get to know each other over the course of this season, so much can change on its head just like that, like pivoting in just a heartbeat, right? So I certainly think there are trends that you can take away, but I'm not worried about UConn whatsoever. And I agree with the personnel that was missing and how they competed. The other thing that I would say that could possibly work in UConn's favor, and I know Dan's not going to be happy about this, but you shot 50% from the free throw line. I mean, those were some big opportunities that were missed, and you were still there, right? So like that's something you can fix, and that's something you 100% control. So 50% from the free throw line at home, you know, you're going to play in tougher environments. You want to see that number improve, but certainly not worried about UConn whatsoever, because again, they've been through these fires and they'll get it right.
This guy's been spamming my page for this UConn. I'll just give him some love. I think he's kind of funny. Arizona didn't play their best and was up big before. The refs helped UConn with home calls to get them back in it. Oh yeah, I think you're 1,000% right, Champy.
So I'll never. I really really do my best to stay away from ref stuff. I didn't see it in this. It's very possible that, you know, that's because we won the game. But look, I thought it was a tough game. Like, it was officiated just fine in my eyes. Maybe UConn fans thought Arizona got the benefit of a lot of calls, right? Like Alex Caravan was in foul trouble. Usually when that happens, you're like, what the hell? Some of these were soft calls. I thought it was fine.
I thought BYU, I thought AJ DeBonsa got a very friendly, like he was playing for the Celtics whistle in TD Garden to kind of help them mount that comeback once they went down 20. Like I literally, I started to kind of like chart it because I started to kind of feel that tide when they went up big over the weekend. And of course, you know, people crush you for it. Oh, you're such a crybaby, blah, blah. But the reality is, like, at the 14:55 mark of that game, things started to change. And did UConn play poorly? Yes. Was AJ DeBonsa good? Yes. So like, I just kind of like charted it, and, you know, I thought I made a pretty good argument. I also think too, it's impossible to essentially look away from if it's. I didn't think about this tonight. I honestly thought the calls were fine both ways. Like I had no issue with it, even when they went down 11. I think there was a couple tweets that I saw where people thought Koa gets away with push-offs because he's, you know, a name, and it's like the one and done whistle, like people are calling it. Okay, fine. But I didn't think it was as egregious as what I saw in the BYU game. Now, could I be wrong? Could I just be trying to stay away from that? Maybe, but I do think that the game was officiated well. Not, you know, these officials suck just in general. Like I think officiating at the college level is not very good, even when you have a Final Four caliber staff. Essentially, I'll tell you a quick story. Last year, I flew into Hartford, and I was on the same flight as I always say his name wrong because he has a similar name to a former NFL player. It's Ayers. Roger Ayers.
Yeah. I think so.
So Roger Ayers, I think he's a good official, like based on, you know, all the different things, whatever. So didn't talk to him on the flight. So, but I didn't have any luggage. He didn't have any luggage. We're going out to our Ubers. We're both standing there. I'm here. He's down the way. I'm not wearing any UConn gear. And I look at him. I go, "Hey, Roger." He looks at me and I go, "Call a good game today." He smiled and said, "You got it." And that's it. And I felt like it was a pretty decent game. I think it was the Marquette game last year. So it's just one of those things, you know, like sometimes you have those moments. Those guys are human, but I didn't think it was a poorly called game today. What I did think was at the start of the game, I essentially said, UConn can win this game if they marginally disrupt paint play, which they did not. If they get a great game from solo ball, not nuclear, just good, you know, 40%. They did not. If Alex Caravan shoots it well, he did not. And it's not a criticism because I think Silas is going to be great. But all of these comparisons to like the great Tristan Newton and others, like I want to see him be more aggressive. This was a game where at the end of that game, I wanted him to be more aggressive. I don't want to see, I love Eric Ryba. I thought he played a great game. I don't want to see Eric taking wide open threes when he's like afraid to. He made a couple shots, but like Silas is a killer. Like at his heart of hearts, I think he knows that he's the guy that is going to end up being the killer for this team. And I didn't think he doesn't show enough of that. And I think UConn needs that, because what was so special about that UConn team that won back-to-back titles is Tristan Newton. Like Tristan Newton was but he also was a guy like that if everything else failed, you could count on him to drop 20 and keep them in games. And I think Silas needs to be that guy this year. And it'll help, obviously, when Braylon comes back, more open shots. But just like pulling up on a guy and banging a three in his eye, I want to see that more. I'm old school. You know, the Khalid El-Amin days. Like, I love all the action. I think it's fantastic. But sometimes, man, you just gotta, you know, assert your dominance. And I think that's the only thing that's missing from this team currently.
Yeah, I think this was a special guard matchup, by the way, between him and Jaden Bradley. And from an Arizona perspective, like Jaden Bradley, I don't know if you know this, he was left off all Big 12 team, and they give pretty much anyone a spot. And I understand the Big 12 has some great talent and some great teams. It's egregious that Jaden Bradley was left off of that team, and he's on an absolute pissed off tour right now. He is having a phenomenal start to the season. He is unequivocally Arizona's number one closer, and you saw that again in this ball game. But I thought Silas held his own. And you know what's funny? These are two guys that have come over from the SEC, right? So Jaden Bradley started with Nate Oates at Bama. Obviously, Demery comes over from Georgia as well. So I think what we saw, it's interesting. What we saw was maybe a Jaden Bradley say, "Hey, give me the ball. I'm about to carry us over the finish line." And it sounds to me like that's kind of what you're looking for there with Silas as well.
Yeah, he did it against BYU when it went down the stretch. Like they needed him to take it to the hole and, you know, hit pull up jump shots. But like I just think sometimes, like I'm a big proponent of, it's kind of like when a team is not a really good running team or throwing team in football. It's like you still got to do one or the other, like to kind of show the other team respects you. So like I would love to see at one point just like him coming around the screen, and even though the play isn't designed for him, just shoot a three. And because he's open a lot, and even if he's not, I don't think Dan is not the type of guy, like the same thing last year when Alex Caravan was not being assertive. I would be in press conferences and he would say stuff like, you know, Alex needs to go out on his sword. Like he needs to shoot 21 shots a game. And if he goes 4 of 21, we don't give a shit. Like that's kind of what I want from Silas. Like I want him to be, everyone wants to be efficient. Everyone wants to be a 50, 40, 90 guy. But sometimes you got to have a 7 for 25 night, but those last 4 shots are big ones. Who cares? Like, I want him to be aggressive. I want him to shoot more. I think he's got that ability, and he showed it against BYU. It's not like he can't do it. And so, yeah, and maybe that has a lot to do with the way Arizona defended him and the foul trouble and all that. So, but I do want to see him get more aggressive. Literally just made a shirt for him tonight in Silas We Trust, because I do trust him. I really do. But it's, you know, I want to see him believe it too. You know, I think he's got to believe it himself.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. And look, guard play has always been elite right there. I think you mentioned Tristan Newton, obviously. Mark, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. And so this is actually where I don't want to say I have a bone to pick with UConn fans, Please. But I got called out on my preview video thinking that, or stating that Arizona had a better bench in this particular game. I thought overall, I think Arizona has a better bench than UConn, but I didn't think in this spot in Stores it was going to come to fruition. Like I thought Anthony DeLorso would struggle, and I thought Malachi Smith might contribute a little bit, right? And I just thought the bench guys for UConn would step up, because usually at home that's the case. That didn't happen. Like UConn's bench, I don't know. What was your assessment of UConn's bench? Right, the point production wasn't a ton. I mean, the rebounding wasn't a ton. I don't know. You tell me.
I think people hate on Malachi too much. There's one guy that like gave me shit about my simple tweet was essentially that, Malachi just needs to be better. Like it's a simple thing. And it was towards the beginning of the end of the first half when he turned the ball over down the stretch. And just because he's a grad student, not because he should be perfect, right? I don't think Arizona has a better bench, because if you think about it, if Terrace is starting, Ryba's on their bench and he scored 15. Then on top of it, if you look at Malachi's numbers, he didn't score, but he had 8 assists and 1 turnover. Jaden Ross didn't play great, but at the same time, like most of the guys, like if you put Terrace in the game, then some of those guys get bumped down, and those numbers are reflective of a better bench. Like Toby Awaka is a good player. But 7-7, good player. I thought his free throws on the stretch was like he's a 40% free throw shooter and made those. Good for him. That's awesome. I think if all things being equal, I think UConn has a better bench, but I think the biggest issue was, the pressure of being like, well, listen, we got to make all of our shots tonight because we can't stop them down low tonight. Like there's none of that. So I would push back on that. I wouldn't like do it in a way that's like, you're fucking crazy, dude. Like, what are you nuts? I think it's more even than people should think about. But at the same time, I don't agree with someone killing you for that. But I don't also agree that it's a better bench. They played well tonight. Malachi, I like Malachi a lot.
He had a big bucket.
A big bucket, 8 assists, no turnovers. Sure. I mean, that's a freaking in a vacuum. That's, if you look at that game, you're like, holy shit, so you're telling me your backup point guard gave you in 17 minutes 2 points, 8 assists, no turnovers. It's pretty damn good. But they needed in this game, they needed more. They needed that open 3 that he missed. They needed him to not have that turnover down the stretch in the first half when they were trying to make a run. Yeah, man, like there was just these little stretches where for me, UConn didn't play to their capability. They still, efficiency-wise, still shot 45% from the floor, missed a ton of threes. They only shot 30%. But it's the free throws, dude. You lose a 4-point game and you were 9 of 18 from the free throw line? Come on, bro. That's really what that lost you the game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Mark, like I'm glad we're talking about it, because a lot of folks are going to look at the massive discrepancy of like the rebounding, points in the paint. And we've touched on it, sure. But again, you were right there and you missed half your free throws. Like that is actually something that would keep me up a little bit more at night.
Yeah.
Because like we've mentioned, there's no Terrace, and Arizona is a very good rebounding team, especially offensive rebounding. But what you can control is hitting those free throws. And yeah, and on the flip side, right? Like Tobe Awaka, I know you mentioned this. I'm very familiar with Tobe Awaka's free throw game. I've told you on this program right now, like I don't expect a ton of skill or scoring from him, but I expect toughness. Like I will throw Tobe Awaka in the Coliseum and I expect him to walk out. He is an absolute monster. But the fact that he hit 4 straight free throws to seal the game, like I'm over here, dude. I was when he was stepping up to the line, after I think it was either Silas or Solo hit the 3 to cut it with like 0.8 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying, okay, so just make the first and then miss the second. And then I'm like, wait a minute, just try to make the second, but he's gonna miss the second. And look, he went 4 for 4 there, and I was truly shocked.
It's your night. We do have one guy looking to jump in here. Bernie. Bernie's a regular. Let's get him. I don't know if he's still on. Bernie, you still there? Bernie.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah. All right, brother.
I'm very patient. I can be on the phone for 3 hours and wait and not worry about it.
I mean,
how are you both, gentlemen?
WFAN. You only were waiting for 34 minutes. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. That's true. But how are you both tonight, gentlemen? I thought tonight's game was like an NCAA tournament game. I think both teams came out. I think Arizona punched first, UConn came back, punched, and then Arizona punched the second time, and then UConn came back. They had the lead, and yes, at the end, it was tough. But it's only the 5th game of the year, and that's the beauty of playing these games early, which I love. I love the fact that this year, a lot of the top 15 teams are playing other top 15 teams early in the season. You know, this is how you measure how good your team is, by playing these tough games on the road or in neutral sites. I mean, I gotta say, I saw the Florida game with Arizona. Arizona's legit. I mean, they should be the number one team in the country, beyond a doubt. They have 3 top 15 wins, beat Florida, beat UCLA, and now beat UConn at Gampel. I mean, without question, if Arizona is not the number one team in the country, there's something wrong with the voters, because that is a legit Final Four team. I would be stunned if Arizona's not in the Final Four. Stunned. Because the way Koa Pete plays, I saw the game against Florida. He was a beast in that game. He dominated. Florida had no answers for him. Pete is legit, and he probably will be a lottery pick in the NBA draft. No question. Arizona is legit. UConn, all right. UConn is also going to be I think going to be in the Final Four. I mean, they have a win against BYU, against the best quote unquote freshman in the country. And yes, this was a tough loss, but you know what? I was looking at some of the comments on X. I was looking at some of the comments on some of the other sites, and people are like bashing UConn, saying, "Oh, they're soft. Oh, they're not legit. Oh, how could they lose to Arizona?" And people don't seem to understand and realize Arizona is the number 4 team in the country for a reason, because they go out there and compete. They are tough on the glass. They are, if not the best rebounding team in the country, and they showed it tonight. Even without Terrace Reed, which was, I think, the thing that when I think back watching the game, it's like without Reed in that game tonight, that's how UConn sort of set so many missed opportunities, so many chances if they were just able to be competitive on the boards. But the free throw shooting, it's not just UConn who has problems with free throw shooting. It just seems like every team in the country has forgotten the lost art of a free throw. It's points. If you're in a tight game, especially if you're down 1 or 2 or 3 and you miss free throws, those are killer. Those take the momentum right away from any team trying to make a comeback. I'll give you a great example. I watched the Paul game against Buffalo. Okay? DePaul had numerous chances to come back, and yet they missed like 10 free throws in that game.
Yeah, Bernie, you're spot on. And Subby, Bernie is one of our very loyal followers. He's been kind of with me from the jump. He's a good dude. And but I do have to check Bernie every once in a while, because Bernie, there's still other people on here, man. Like, you're giving us a soliloquy. We want to jump in here and help you with some of your points, which are vast. Like, my biggest thing and we'll ask Subby this, is with Arizona, I think they should be the number 1 team in the country. The reason why I think Purdue is still going to get the nod is because when you think about the way teams win national championships these days, it's with collection of guys coming back and then adding stuff. And I think Purdue has the best mixture of that still to this day. So there you can see my objectivity, because I can't stand Purdue fans either. But what I will tell you about Arizona is a very similar thing to St. John's last year. Incredible physicality, really good defensive team when they need to be. My biggest issue is 3-point shooting percentage and 3-point and defending the 3. They don't defend the 3 very well. UConn shot poorly from 3 today, but I don't think it really had much to do with Arizona, their closeouts. It just had to do with UConn, I don't know, not having a good shooting night. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a completely fair assessment. In Tommy Lloyd's tenure the last couple of years, it seems as if teams always get hot or shoot well from 3. And a lot of Arizona fans will say, "Oh, woe is me. How does this always happen to Arizona?" Like, I've always been telling them to look inward a little bit and defend the 3-point line. So I agree with that. This year last year they didn't shoot well from 3, but they took them. They're oddly not taking threes year in 2 of their biggest games. Against Florida, I forget, it was something criminally low, and even Tommy Lloyd in the post-game presser was like, we need to get more up. And in this game they took 10 10 total threes, and I only hit 2 of them, I believe. So it's it's odd. Maybe that can change. As it relates to the defense, they ramped up the defense towards the end of last year. But really, Bernie, I appreciate the kind words when you say you'd be shocked Arizona won't make a Final Four. Brother, I've been doing this now for the better part of like 15 years. All right. They find and invent ways. So when you guys, especially Mark is like, I'd love to see this, from a in March and from a neutral perspective, sure. But no, I don't. I'd love to play like some plucky NC State underdog.
St. Peter's. You want to play the 15 seed? I
just need a Final Four appearance, man. We can get boat raced in that game, but I want to go to Indianapolis just because I personally think Final Four appearances are the benchmark of great programs, great coaches. It is so damn tough, and I feel like I'm preaching to someone who's like, I don't know, it's kind of easy because you guys are there every other year or so, or it seems as that. But Final Fours are so dang tough to get to. And if Tommy can just piece together 4 games in March, right, mirroring these types of efforts, then yes, I'd be on board. But I have a lot of demons over the course of the last 25 years.
Well, I mean, if I can say this, I mean, we as UConn fans, I mean, I've been a UConn fan. I'm 52, and I've been a UConn fan for over 40 years. And it's just like with Arizona, you want to get to the Final Four. For us as UConn fans, I mean, we've dealt with so many heartbreaking moments, like 1990 losing to Duke, in the East Regional Final, and having so many attempts in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. I mean, there are moments where we just thought we would never see UConn in the Final Four or yet win a national championship, and that all changed in 1999 when we finally hit and reached that Final Four. But when we won the national championship over Duke, which was the heavy favorite, and everybody thought Duke was going to win the entire thing, I think the mentality of UConn fans were like, oh, okay, we can actually make a Final Four and we can actually win a national championship. And that was the stunning surprise. And then when we went back to the Final Four in 2004 after 5 years, and we won that national championship, both the men and the women. And then again in 2009, we don't talk about 2006 because that's hellscape. But in 2009, going back to the Final Four, we didn't win national championship, but going back to the Final Four was a surprise for everybody because I don't think anybody expected UConn to be in the Final Four in 2009, even with a good team they had. And then in 2011 with Kemba having that miracle run to the Final Four and the national championship. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry.
No, it's not that. It's like everybody that's literally on this show knows how awesome UConn's championship runs are. And there's no disrespect there. Like I love, every once in a while when I go on vacation, we'll do an evergreen show about how, we did the 2004, team and that run and we kind of talk about it and blah, blah, blah. But all I'm saying about this is keep it to this. What I want to say this because there's a guy in here that I think is an Arizona guy. So, Subby, I want you to talk to my guy here. I think this is probably I want to say dumb. I think this is an interesting take. Okay. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. Like this guy probably thinks I'm a jerk anyway, but that's okay. Boards are more important than 3. I disagree wholeheartly because if we look at the discrepancy, I think you out rebounded us by like 20. And they lost by 2. UConn shot 32% from 3 and missed 50% of their free throws. Math is pretty easy when you think about it from that perspective. If UConn, and I hate when people say if, so I'm going to hate myself right now. If those numbers are upticked even just by a hair, 35% to 70%, UConn wins at home. My question to you is, do you think, because his initial was like that UConn fans are coping, like the copium, like all of that bullshit that people talk about. I'm just talking facts. Like UConn lost this game. Arizona deserves all the credit in the world, but they were missing a starter. 2 starters, if you count Braylon, and they didn't play well. I think Arizona was the better team tonight, and it's still very close.
I think that's a completely fair assessment. And look, I don't know if we saw a head-to-head, and you mentioned Arizona was the better team tonight, but these are 2 teams that are top 3, top 4 in the country, right? Like when you're talking about that, they're pretty level. And so missing a starter matters, right? And so it's not as if you lost to, I don't know, DePaul. No disrespect to DePaul. I live in Chicago here, but it's not as if you lost to DePaul without Terrace Reed. Like that would not be an excuse that I would let fly, right? Like if you lost to a bottom feeder, right? You lost to a very quality opponent. And so, yeah, the threes, I'm a big 3-point shooting guy. Like I do not like what Arizona is doing in terms of the amount that they're taking. Now, look, you're not an NBA team.
No,
I'm not expecting you to just chuck them up, but I think, yeah, I think what if UConn shot the ball a little bit better, which by the way, I thought they would. Like I was shocked that to see Solo Ball finish 1 of 8 from 3 because he's at home. And I think he hit his first 3 of the game, or maybe an early 3. I think that 1-3 did come earlier. Maybe it was a bucket. There was a little bit of a flurry in the first half. And I'm like, all right, Solo's going to get going here. And it never really happened, at least from distance. And so I was surprised by that, especially at home.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think for me, the biggest disappointment of the game was Solo essentially having an off game. And it's just in the modern game, to go back to our guy Little Knives here about rebounding is more important than 3-point shooting. In 1997, you'd be correct, because no one was shooting threes. Larry Bird doesn't have the same amount of isn't considered a great 3-point shooter because he just didn't take a ton of them compared to Steph Curry. But if we're talking about today in 2025, if a team shoots the ball well from 3 and they're undersized, it's the reason why you see upsets in the NCAA tournament. There's a reason why Purdue lost to freaking Fairleigh Dickinson. You know what I mean? Because they had the most dominant college basketball. Yeah. Santa Clara beating Arizona in the 2-15 matchup. I mean, I'm just saying, UConn losing to George Mason, these are the perfect storm of all of these. And I'm not talking about this was a big upset. I'm just saying at home, you'd think that UConn would shoot better than 32% from 3 and 50% from the free throw line. And to only lose that game the way we did, it's not copium. We're just talking math, bro. It's just it is what it is. I couldn't be happier. I'm in a great mood. I think UConn's in great position. I think Arizona is going to be a great team this year. So if you're picking on that specifically, I don't know what to tell you, bro. You just need to come up with a better argument, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I came into this game saying, look, even if we get boat raced, right? $2 Miller Lite night, is that what it was? I didn't know that a couple nights ago.
Lathered up. Bill Raftery was so funny about that. He was my ancestors missed this one. Oh my god, I almost peed my pants thinking about how funny Bill Raftery is. The pregame one there, yeah, or the right into the tip. But I said, look, if we even get smoked, we're not going to drop very much. All right, losing on the road to number 3 in Stores, that's okay. And then it was competitive, and I'm like, all right, we may not even budge a spot if we lose this game. And then you end up the point that I'm making is I think both Arizona and UConn fans should feel just fine. And just feel super steady, especially Arizona fans, because you still got a lot of meat left on this out of conference schedule. I'm not necessarily sure what UConn's got, but I think it's pretty dang tough too. These are 2 teams. I bet you Hurley and Tommy Lloyd have chatted in the last 24 hours or so, maybe post game, about, hey, kudos to both of us for scheduling this head to head. And by the way, we're in Tucson next year. Mark, come on down, man. I might have Let's
to
go.
Be there. But also,
dude.
They're both. Mark, enlighten me on UConn's next few games, because it's a meat grinder as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'd have to let me double check, but I'm pretty sure they play. I know they play Kansas and Illinois. I think Illinois is first, and then they play. But they play a bye game in the middle of it. It's kind of there's a couple of breathers, but for the most part, UConn is one of the tougher non-conference schedules in the country. They play Bryant this weekend on the 23rd, and then they go to Madison Square Garden to destroy Illinois once again in Stores South, and then they go play at Kansas. And honestly, man, I love that Kansas is a little down this year. I don't know if Darren Peterson's going to. I hope he does, because I want them to be at full strength. But I love that, because I want to go into Fog Allen, since they never return the favor and come back to Stores ever. I don't think Bill Self knows how to leave Kansas. So I think that'll be an interesting one. And they play Florida and Texas before we even get into Big East play. So man, they still have a ton of teams left. And I know you guys have played a really difficult schedule as well.
Yeah, we got the two Bama schools coming up, Auburn, Alabama. Now, this was scheduled prior to Stephen Pearl taking over. They fought really well against Houston, but Alabama looks really good. I think their only loss right now is to a really good Purdue team, albeit at home. So, and then SDSU, who just lost. I think they lost to Troy, which was not very good, but they got SDSU, who's always a little tough. Kudos to both Arizona and UConn for scheduling the way that they are, because it's going to help them down the line.
Let me ask you this question, Subby. Last thing. And then we'll kind of get out of here because my kids are asleep, which is a very rare thing at this time of night. I'm usually getting a text from my wife like, when are you going to be done? Because these kids are these emotional terrorists are making my wife want to pull her hair out. But she's actually good. They're good right now. But I actually want to get down there and see my wife before it's time for bed.
Yes.
But if this is 20, because it's not going to happen soon, but we're in 2030 and we are now in the same conference. How cool would it be for this to be a 2-time-a-year deal, or maybe I don't know, with all the realignments and movement, maybe it'd be just one time. But how cool would it be to be an every year thing?
Oh, it'd be terrific. By that point, I sincerely hope we are higher in your hate ranking, because it means that, like, we've had.
If you're a conference opponent, then it's fucking on, dude.
Like, regardless,
you and I will be friends, but like we can have we can do live shows in Tucson. We can do it in in Connecticut somewhere. We have pizza. We'll do the whole thing. But like if it becomes a conference thing, I mean, with the exception of DePaul, like we talk about like a doormat, and we love our guys that do the DePod show, and they're getting better. With the exception of DePaul, if you hate any team, and if you hate DePaul, you're an asshole. That's the way we say it in the Big East, at least in my opinion. If you hate everybody else, you're cool. Like even Butler, like my guy Roosevelt Jones, who does our show, there's a part of me that hates Butler a little bit because they, whatever, fuck them, whatever. But for the most part, DePaul, everyone's rooting for DePaul, but everyone else, Providence, Marquette, we got respect, but fuck them. You know what I mean? We want them to lose.
Yeah, I'm in a group chat actually with all my buddies that I grew up with. Few Providence fans, few UConn fans. I'm the Arizona fan, and I will say in that group chat, it's like the hierarchy is pretty much like UConn, then Arizona, like bit of a fall off, right? And then kind of the rest of the guys. So this one was an unbelievable matchup, and I think it's great. The head coaches are great. Last time these two teams played, I believe, was 17-18. Keep me honest here. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I think the 18 matchup was Hurley's inaugural year. I forget who was there.
Ollie was before him. So I'm a little hazy on it, whether it's 17 or 18. So if it's the 2017 season, I'm pretty sure that Dan's first year in stores.
I think this was his second matchup against Arizona. And so this is 3 straight losses, I believe. I think Arizona's on a 3-game winning streak. But
18, he was at Rhode Island in 2018. It's so funny. I have my
wait. So was it Ollie both times then? Hurley's never played Arizona.
No, I don't remember if they played. Dude, like I'll be honest with you, man. Like that 2018-19 UConn team that was 16 and 17 was a very dark period in our history. And you're in the American Athletic Conference. You don't know if anything's going to change. Then you have a decent year in 1920, 19 and 12, still finished fifth in that conference before we even get to the Big East. And we had the pandemic in 2020. So like, the ascension of Dan hasn't always been like, dude, there was conversation before I even did any of this, any of this content creation, where people were like in group chats, like, is he going to survive? Like, is Dan going to if he's even said it, like where he was telling his wife, like, we may get fired. Like it's UConn. It's not Rhode Island. So like, that's where they were. So it's very, it's a tenuous type thing. Like, and also UConn fans, I love my UConn fans. Anybody that's in this chat, I love you. But some UConn fans, like any fan base, are assholes. They just are. I mean, they're from New England. You're supposed to be an asshole in New England. Weather's shitty. You feel like woe is me. You probably either are a Red Sox fan or a Yankee fan. or a Mets fan. If you're a Mets fan in Connecticut, good God, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of disadvantages with where you live. And the one shining light is this program on the men's and women's side. You know what I mean? Like that's and there's a lot of great things in Connecticut. I joke around, but this is the thing, man. This is our sport. Like there's no pro sports. We're gonna lose the women's team. They're gone. They're gonna go to Boston. We lost the Whalers. You know what I mean? Like the Patriots fucked us over. They thought we were gonna come to Hartford. They were like, no, we're gonna go win championships in Foxborough. What? So you know what I mean? Like so, this is our show. Like this is why it's such a popular thing. So, I mean, the men and women are both going to be right there at the end of the year this year. So, if they go to like a Big 12, I think it only enhances the brand. I know it sucks because, we started this whole thing with Big East Energy Network. Well, I'll adjust. It's not a big deal. Like we're going to still, obviously we love the Big East. Like I never want to leave selfishly, but I see the writing on the wall. We're not stupid. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is.
I hope you don't leave, man, only because like you guys are synonymous. You're like a godfather of the Big East. I didn't want to leave the Pac-12, to be honest with you, but I'm glad we did because the Big 12 is just such a step up in competition. The Pac-12 was just, UCLA, we got to get up for them. After that,
right,
we just beat the snot out of everyone else. Big 12, man, gauntlet. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I'd love it if these two, continued. And you know what? I'd love it even more if Bobby Hurley somehow ends up on Dan's staff. All right.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. It's happened. It's happened in the past.
Yeah. Let's do that.
All right. We're going to go. Hey, and anybody that's listening to this, because Emmanuel just didn't listen, if it happens, we're good for like 4 years, my guys. Like, don't worry about anything. Like, there's no Brinks trucks that are backing up, what's the picture from like the Colts like leaving and going to be the Ravens, whatever that was, I think it was the Browns leaving to go to be the Ravens. Like that's not happening. Like the way it all works, media rights have to be worked out. That's not changing till 2030. Plus there's all kinds of conference realignment, the zombie Pac-12, all of that. So it's definitely in the conversation more now because of UConn football, but that's a story for another day. Subby, I really appreciate you, brother. This was a fun almost hour of just kind of post-mortem. Congrats to your Wildcats. Best of luck the rest of the year. And tell everybody where they can, find you if you're doing things outside of obviously just coming on our show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mark. This was such a blast. And I love interacting with UConn fans. You've been so kind about Arizona fans. I'll tell you, there's a lot of assholes in our faction too.
Sure.
But this was a great game. You can find me on Twitter at CBB Theater. And also shout out Brian Ralph, who connected us.
Yes.
Great dude. But yeah, you can find me at CBB Theater.
Yeah. And before we go, that's a great thank you for that call out. If you are a fan of just any basketball, Brian is phenomenal. He lives here in Raleigh. We're only an hour away from each other. I saw him last year at the NCAA tournament. If I need someone from a region, I always hit up Ryan at, obviously a few different people, but he's at Basket and Review. Great new outlet. I know Heat Check kind of folded, but that's okay. They're doing great stuff. Basket and Review, check that out. Check out Subby stuff. Do you work at, I could be talking out of turn here, but do you work at all with sleepers or any of that stuff too?
Yeah. So I'm contributing for their previews and recaps this year and having a blast doing it. So was doing the previews and recaps, the preview for this one, and got to do the recap. I'm excited for it.
Good stuff, man. So check that out. We talk with sleepers about collaborations all the time. So this is a great first step. So appreciate you, man. And we'll see you. Hopefully we'll see you, dude. It'd be great. If we see you in Indianapolis, because I will definitely be there. Maybe we'll get up and do something cool.
So that's the thing, Mark. If we see you in Indy, that means we went to the Final Four, which means I'm good. Yes. I don't want to see you before then, okay?
Yeah, listen, man, this is put you in one seed area. You're gonna be in that conversation. So
true.
UConn's got work to do because the Big East is a little bit struggling this year, but if we continue to have a good non-con, we could be a 1 or a 2, and we'll see you in Indy. And we'll have to go to, what's the place? I always forget this place. Yes, we'll go to St. Elmo's. We'll get the good shrimp cocktail and get some good steak. And the losing team, whoever loses has to pay for it. Deal?
Deal.
All right. That's Subby. I'm Mark Sonetto. This has been the Hoops Cap. We'll see you next time.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah.